So it appears that Joe Biden had left his bunker and actually visited Wisconsin yesterday. And I think he went to an area that had actually gone 58% for Donald Trump. And this is an interesting comment that he made that I think is a really good one. He said, Trump panicked. The virus was too big for him. All his life, Donald Trump has been bailed out of any problem he faced. He just wasn't up to it. He froze. So this is really important because I think it's really good messaging, but also I think that it's just absolutely correct. I think that Donald Trump, is just someone who just loves to talk and just yap and not actually do things or be held accountable for said things. And so, with this coronavirus thing, all the Republicans were claiming that it's the same mortality rate as the flu, which is totally false. We saw them trying to say that. Typical flu season, the past couple years, around I think 60K, between 39 and 60K dead. And coronavirus is over 200,000, and it's going to keep climbing. I don't know how much it's going to be at Election Day. I think that 300 plus people died yesterday, but I think there are also some days recently where it's been over 1K. But I'm not 100% sure on those numbers. But for sure, over 300 people did die yesterday from coronavirus. And it looks like the mortality rate of the flu is 0.1%, under 0.1% by quite a bit. And for the coronavirus, it's around 0.4. So that makes the death rate obviously a lot higher. And the big issue that was brought up was we are not trained with coronavirus. We don't have anything to combat coronavirus right now. With flu, reason why the flu numbers are so further down is because every single year there's a hefty drive made for people to get their flu shots. And in addition to those flu shots, you have people, or you have us having things like Tamiflu, things that'll help combat the flu. We don't have those kinds of things for coronavirus, which makes it increasingly difficult to combat coronavirus. And so, I saw people like Candace Sun saying, oh, well, look at these flu numbers. Well, why don't the flu cases fill up the hospitals? They do. Flu cases do fill up hospitals during flu season. And that's the thing. That just makes coronavirus even more dangerous, especially as they're often get combined. And some of the numbers are actually saying that the CDC says that there might actually be a deflated count for coronavirus because flu and corona have such similar symptoms that they might actually get mistaken for being flu deaths instead of coronavirus. Or, maybe someone catches both and, they die because they got corona. They would have made it if they had just gotten the flu. So, all of that stuff has been completely proven false. The death numbers, mortality rate, etc., all of that kind of stuff. It's all been a lie. And Trump apparently knew, as we heard in the Bob Woodward interview. So he knew, and he didn't do anything. And so he failed. And when Trump comes out and he says, he's trying to scapegoat China for this, which I think China should be held accountable, especially, Xi. But when he comes out and he basically says that, I would have won easily without coronavirus. You may have won, but whose fault is it that you didn't win as a result of the coronavirus? In fact, I would argue that actually the coronavirus gave you the opportunity to basically prevent it from being an outbreak, come out publicly as a leader, rhetorically, assure people, not downplay the virus, say, hey, it's real, but we're going to fight it. That's how a leader is supposed to act in times like this, but you didn't do that. Because at the end of the day, you're incompetent as a leader. And it's absolutely true that the guy's been completely bailed out his entire life. He's never been held accountable for anything. And honestly, another reason why 2020 is so different from 2016 election-wise is because any argument that Trump supporters will use, you can go back and fact-check them on what Trump did this time around. So something like, oh, he's anti-war, he's anti-imperialist. That's totally false. He tried multiple attempts at regime change, and he's rising tensions with Iran, which, puts us on the brink and in danger of something like a World War III situation or a nuclear situation. So that is not good. That's actually one of the reasons to vote for Joe Biden is for the Iran deal. So those kinds of things you can go back and look at and be like, hey, well, actually, that turned out to be pretty bullshit. And the reason why he was able to get away with it in the first place was simply because he had no accountability, no record to be held accountable on, right? Now it's totally different. So that's why Trump is going to probably lose this election unless something seriously major happens. People are claiming it's going to be the debates. I'm not really seeing how that's going to happen. But Trump really, in trouble.